Jim, a story breaking as we are recording.
Oh, I hate when these things happen.
Andrew Zarian on Twitter is reporting that AEW will hold the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, that's their joint pay-per-view they've done with New Japan in the past, at Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York City this June.
Oh,
Seems like a rather ambitious move. What do you think?
well, how many times have they done a stadium now? Twice or three?
I want to say 3, but it may have been twice.
Didn't they do 20,000 and then 10,000 and then 6,000?
It was somewhere along that sliding scale, yeah.
I mean, you can look at it this way also. You got the biggest population center by far in the United States of America, within 100 miles in any direction of Arthur Ashe Stadium. If anybody in the country knows who all these unknown Japanese guys are, it would be people around there. So,
but it is in Queens, and
are you going to get 20,000 up?
Well, the other thing is everything in New York is not rosy right now. Going to Dave Meltzer's points earlier, do you think maybe there are too many poor people in the greater New York area for AEW to have a truly successful stadium event?
I noticed that when I was up there a few years ago, last time I went to New York. I couldn't believe it. I saw poor people. It's like they're everywhere. And
they only like WWE, though.
Well, that's the thing. Other endeavors and entertainments and lines of work, they go on chugging right along like nothing's going on, but it's hurting the goddamn AEW business with all these poor people.
So again, AEW, the stadium show, they've run New York several times. They do a fairly okay job of, at least last time they did with MJF all over the New York media.
Well, he won't be on it.
You don't think so? We wouldn't think so, but it's in June. Typically, the other event has been, I think, in September, maybe. And it is a joint show if it's Forbidden Door. Either New Japan or CMLL, we'll see.
Oh, my God. Well, no. Look, number one, if they're trying to do a Forbidden Doors, the CMLL guys can come and they can be a part of it. But if it's only AEW and CMLL on the other side of that door, nobody's going to grab the knob.
The problem, too, is every time they do a Forbidden Door, Tony signs up every wrestler that walks through the door. New Japan gets left with nothing.
And then they're all around all the time, and then they're, But no, this door, it has to have the New Japan guys to be more than a 10-cent fucking stall and a truck stop. Because of all of the wrestling fans in the United States of America, I think we can all agree on, this is not an inflammatory or a controversial statement, most all of the fans that know who the New Japan wrestlers are and what they do and that New Japan is a thing are also watching AEW. But that would be, I think, safe to say.
You would think, yeah.
So if they get a show in the biggest population area where most of the people will know who these people are and they will take them as dream matches instead of cold matches with people they've never heard of, it would be the New York metropolitan area. But they will find out that for the CMLL crossover to be in any way impactful to the live gate, they better be in Southern California or somewhere in Texas. Because I'm sorry, but you're even though you're in New York, it's a further niche product, a niche of a niche, and it's not even established. And the way Tony establishes things is probably not going to be. So it's going to be more Japanese guys coming over from New Japan. And for those who like that kind of thing, that's the kind of thing those people like. And it's going to do the same pay-per-view numbers because that's who buys the pay-per-views, regardless of how much money they have or earn. Apparently, the AEW fans, 20 to 40,000 of them can afford the pay-per-view, no matter how many times they do it, because that's the number that they sell of every one. But they would be testing that strategy in a stress test, to say the least, to do a crossover with just AEW and CMLL. That would be, I would think, a low point for them in terms of buy rates.
Well, the other thing that'll be interesting to watch will be Grand Slam, which has been the annual event every September. They said they're going to keep doing them. You can't do it. I wouldn't think you could do 2 back-to-back stadium shows in New York within 3 months. And apparently, from what I'm seeing online, Andrew Zarian previously tweeted out that it was going to be at the Louis Armstrong Stadium, which is in the same complex as the Arthur Ashe Stadium.
Now, wait a minute. Now, hold on a goddamn second. Now, I may not be an expert, but I'll guarantee you that I know for a fact that Louis Armstrong never played one set of competitive professional tennis.
Well, there is a Louis Armstrong Stadium in Queens. It's in the same complex. It's right by Citi Field, the home of the New York
what did
Mets.
Louis Armstrong have against Arthur Ashe trying to steal his thunder?
I think they're not competing. They are part of the same family. And I guess the question is...
No. Now, that's a racist remark to make.
It's not in any way a racist remark. I don't know what ridiculousness you're trying to do right now.
Arthur Ashe and Louis Armstrong are not related in any way.
Nor did anyone say that. But again...
You just said it was a...
No one said any of this! What the hell are you talking about? We're talking about Grand Slam.
Oh,
and
okay.
Apparently Grand Slam was going to be, allegedly, in a stadium in Queens. And that tweet has now been taken down. So the question will be, do they run 2 stadium shows in 3 months? Or do they move Grand Slam out of New York?
I think they just ought to just buy Arthur Ashe Stadium and run every show there.
Well, there's a lot of rich people in the New York area. I think that'd be a good idea.
There you go. That's where all their fans are. And they could pass out free opera glasses and spats on the way in the door for all those people that come to fucking view the artistic festivities. And by the way, the concession stand, they're changing the food. I understand no more hot dogs and hamburgers. Now they're going for fancy stuff. Sea otter pate and penguin flanks.
No, they go the other way. They keep the hot dogs, but they make them $20 a dog.
Well, that's a mere bag of shells for rich folks.
Bag of shells, $50.
Well, that's even bigger.
A big bag of shells?
A big bag of shells. $100.
Got to carry those shells back to your car, though. It's a pain in the ass.
The entertainment of this program, priceless.
No, there's a price, $0. But again, what are your thoughts? The AEW stadium shows, Tony keeps promising this will be the biggest year ever. They have Wembley coming up. Now they're announcing a new stadium show for Forbidden Door in the New York area right at the kickoff of summer in June. It'll be interesting to see how many people travel into this area for that, but what are your thoughts?
During the history of AEW, has Tony ever said it was going to be a bad year? Well, it's been a long December, but there's reason to believe that this year could be better than the last.
There's been multiple press scrums where you're like, man, he's really got to say something. Everything's really going wrong. And he's like, I just want to say this is the greatest event we've ever done. This is the greatest show. Everything's great. This is the greatest year. Next year is going to be better.
That's the thing. A broken clock is right twice a day. And Tony has, in the past, he's sometimes been right. They had a better year or whatever, but he's said that consistently all along, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. So we take that out of the equation, because what's he going to say? Well, boy, we're in the shit this year. God damn it, I don't know what I'm going to tell my dad. No, he's saying it's going to be bigger and better, and in his mind, he believes it because he believes his booking is good. He thinks this talent is good. He thinks everybody wants to see these, whatever the fuck it is he's doing. And he's ignoring the metrics that the repeat business is down. We predicted it from the start because 2 factors. Basically, number one, once you have seen the guys do their shit in this company, there ain't any shit left to do. You've seen it.
Yeah, they've had 5 years to get these guys over to another level. It hasn't happened.
Well, that's the thing. They're still coming to see stunts, and they've got no more stunts to do anymore because they've done all the stunts. If people were coming to see the personalities, the WWE, as we've mentioned, the people are leaving their homes, driving, parking, paying, and sitting in a fucking crowd to hear people that they believe are stars talk to them. They don't even have to have matches. And on the other side, the repeat business is blah because it's the same shit all the time. There's no person they've got to buy a ticket to see. There's no issue they've got to be there to see resolved or continued or whatever. It's just a bunch of people are going to fly through tables. Well, they did that last time. We've seen it, and it's going to rain next Tuesday. That's their repeat business, and we've said that since the start. How are you going to sustain the world's biggest crowdfunding project that has been AEW since the start, because there were enough disgruntled fans that hated Vince McMahon and the really bad WWE product that they wanted to see something else. So they would spend their money and buy tickets when they weren't going to the show. We want to support the underdog with $10 billion. Well, now it's 5 years. The underdog's still spending his dad's money just fine, but rent ain't any cheaper. So some of these people are going, I guess they're doing well enough on their own. And many of them have said, and it's kind of been a fucking disappointment. And some of them are saying, well, goddamn, all their fucking stars that we wanted to see are hospitalized or off the show. And some of them, they've run 20,000 seat buildings for a crowd of a fucking charity church picnic. And that looks bad and gives the perception that they ain't cool and they ain't happening. And all of these things feed on themselves. So you've got a disinteresting product with half the number of stars and a lackadaisical presentation in front of small crowds. So no, I don't think they ought to be running 2 stadium shows in the same city in this country or any other country in 1 year. I think they've got what they're about going to get for Wembley unless they pull out the reanimated corpse of goddamn Dick Sheekat.
I don't know if he could draw in 2024.
Well, I'm going back
time to build him up. You need a good promoter, a good book.
I'm going back to Ballyhoo. Well, then let's shock Jack Curley back to life while we're at it. But that's the point is this, that Tony, instead of trying to address any of this shit and get something going in a positive manner, everything's great. Let's hire some soap opera directors and let's run some more stadiums with some more Japanese wrestlers. Well, that'll just right the ship.
Should Tony announce with this new hire that they have drawn the biggest crowd ever for soap opera wrestling?
Well, I think they'd have to do some research before they could say that with a full-throated endorsement. You never know. The midgets are beating them over on the other channel.
You think Raphael Morphy will come by to visit from Brooklyn?
Is it? Well, he found an escape hatch. Apparently, he signed him up to wrestle in fucking every major airplane hangar in the United States, and then took a job where he didn't have to fucking...
You know, we joked for so long about what he was doing to their schedule, how he would book them for long excursions in California or Texas or Canada. And now we're hearing those are also the places where the pay-per-views went down. it just doubles down on like how bad a job that guy did.
Well, no, I'm telling you, I think the pay-per-views went down because the people had seen the shit live. I think there was a cause and effect in that direction.
You know, you can't copy WWE, but I think the lesson of the last year has been for a wrestling company to succeed to new levels in the States. It's about the characters and it's about the stories. Then you got to worry about the actual matches. You want everyone to be competent in the ring, but when it's just a dream match because I like the way both guys do drop kicks, you can only do that so many times.
Well, that's ridiculous. That's why the fans were never allowed to book the fucking matches, because that's what you would end up with. And then the business would go to shit, because what the fans traditionally, even in the territory days, what the fans would tell you they'd want to see on occasion when they would get that, it wouldn't draw. But if the promoter and the booker followed their path and their plan and the talent they had faith in and a fucking angle between these people that would make the fans realize, oh shit, we want to see that, that's when you had a success, because then you could control it somewhat. And Lawler used to tell me when he was booking in Memphis, he said, God damn, all I hear when I pull up the Coliseum or I pull up at Channel 5 is, come on, Jerry, we're tired of the same old faces. Get some new wrestlers. Then we get all new wrestlers and nobody comes. It's not what the fans want to see. It's what you are able to convince the fans that they want to see, that you can provide for. They might want to see a bunch of shit that you can't deliver. So the idea is to sell them on the product that you're making and selling, not the one that they think they might want to see instead.